Right, like we're back. Okay, so I've got two engines installed here. Just gonna launch. Okay, I'm just gonna launch 421. Ooh, there's an update out. Launch 421. And then I'm just gonna close it. I'm gonna go for a new project here. I'm gonna choose C++ and I'm just gonna go for third person. And I'm gonna include starter content. I'm going to put this, just call this here string test. Maximum quality desktop console. Just make sure. See, sometimes I have to do. I forget. And I'm looking for C++. So let's hit create project and see what happens. It usually only takes a few seconds. First thing I want to do is I want to import the top. Delete. Well, I'll start with a new map. Drop in a sky sphere, and I'll just leave everything default. So I'm not going to fiddle around with lighting and things like that, but I do want to use dynamic lighting, static light. For these kinds of maps, I would never suggest using static light. Hopefully this is. I haven't created a new project. Good stop taking. Very nice. I'm going to close the editor for just a second. Okay. Code. Open up one of these classes. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit a build. All right, cool. So that's fine. I don't want to mess around. Let's go to that project. Maybe stream tests. So I'm just going to open it up by clicking the U project. Just like to make sure that it does compile before I mess around too much. Now, this is almost like the default view you would get. Just like to make these thumbnails a little bit smaller and just a little bit. Don't need so much viewport space all of the time because I can, quickly go to full screen or not. A couple of things I want to do first here is I want to start a new map. I'm just going to do an empty level. So you can see there's nothing in here. It's persistent level. I want to make sure that I've got world composition enabled. So I'm going to go to my world settings and I'm going to tick enable world. Please save your level to disk. That's fine. So I'm going to save this in third person CPP maps and I'm going to call this stream test tile map. This would be your world, your outside, your planet, whatever. Let's enable world composition. All right. It's automatically going to include that level. One thing we quickly want to do, go to content, third person CPP, blueprint, maps, and just make sure you remove the old one. So I only have the map here that I want. Right. Ticked, saved. Now, I'm going to just drop in a sphere, sky sphere. Put it at 0. It's going to be orange. It may be orange because of the sun's position. do not have. Let's put in a directional light. Zero it out. Make it movable, and then what I'm going to do is go to the sky sphere and just make sure you've picked the directional light in your scene. This is like a setup, you know, very simple. The sky sphere, I want my sky sphere to use this directional light. So in game, I could rotate this directional light to represent day and night cycle, things like that. I'm not going to mess around with a lot of settings now because that's not the point of this video. Otherwise, these videos just become just go out of hand. So let's focus on getting the world imported, and then I'll do the landscape material. Right, so we hit world, we go to levels. Over here, there's my persistent level. So here's a drop down thingy majiggy here. Oh, why is this not? I think level must be current. Why? Weird. Okay. So levels, import tiled landscape, and this is the moment of truth. Now I need to go to this folder location here. So I'm going to select map, go to that folder, select these guys that I've exported. Right there they are, all of them. C temp stream project, right? And it should detect my things automatically. So this time, components, 8x8 sections, 2x2 quad, 63x63. 8x8 sections, components 8x8, sections 2x2 quads. Yeah, so I want the least amount of components. I'm gonna go for it. I'm not going to flip the y coordinate. It's gonna make big poo. And I'm not going to choose a material, and I'm going to use this value here, 219. Point or comma 08, depending on your regional settings, as the Z scale. And then I'm going to hit import. And hopefully, I'm not going to pause the video for this. Vape. I'm a vapor. And smoking to do that. Okay, it's done. Save the level. Let's, before I save it, I'm just gonna select all of these guys. Now to get here, it's just world levels, right? So window, and you click levels and you would get that. I've already docked it here on the side, so yours might just open up in the middle. Select all of these guys, right click and just load, or you can just load 1 or 2 or 3 and just check if they line up. You can save yourself a lot of trouble. I'm going to set my speed just a little bit higher, and it looks like they're lining up pretty good. So let's finish this process up quickly. I'm going to select all of these guys and just right click and say load. I'm going to run through 7x7 or 8x8, whatever it is. And then I want to make sure that it looks okay, and it does for the most part. I don't like things selected. No, I didn't. All right, it's doing the weird Unreal lighting thing. Now I'm just going to drop in here quickly. Save. I'm going to drop in here and just want to do a few things. The first thing I want to do is hit the tile button and do a stat FPS. The next thing I want to do is I want to do a stat unit. I do not want these values to drop here. Right? If these values, I'm pointing with my finger. If my frame rate drops too much, or I'm starting to get draw calls greater than 3 or 4 milliseconds, I'm going to start worrying, because that means anything else I start putting in here. If I'm going to start putting in foliage in here, and using the grass shader and things like that, it's going to become an incredible mess. So you want to make sure that you don't have those issues. Now, it imported fine, looks all right. So that's step one. If you look at it from the top, we're going to look at it in the world composition view from the top. It's a little bit easier. So this is basically an 8x8 world. You've created imported a massive world. Now it's chopping them, right? So if I escape now and you just look there above his head, see, bam. I can't see that mountain there if I start playing, right? Because it's doing level streaming. So that's the next thing I like to do. So let's go to world. Here from levels, just summon world composition, and there's a few things here we need to do. The first thing is I select all of these tiles and I'm going to center them around the world origin. I do not want to remotely get close to the world bounds, and make sure you center it. Give it a second or two to update. Done. Didn't get any errors or warnings. That's a good sign. Control-Shift-A. Make sure everything's saved. It did change all of the offsets now, all of these guys. Expect it to save all of these tiles. Each of these tiles is considered to be a map. So. And the next thing I want to do is I'm going to change the streaming, and this is where things might start breaking. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to just add a 0 there to make it 500,000. My extent here is more than that, so I'll go for 5 million. Honey Badger don't care. And I'm going to right click here, go level, find to layer, my layer. I go to uncategorize, it's gone. If it's click there, it's done. I'm going to save again in case it crashes. Because if it does, I'll make another play. And this is where the frame rate's also. I do not want this on. I want to switch this off real time. I do not like it. I don't like it. I'm busy editing. Now, a moment of truth. So if I'm back here, so this could be, you know, the edge of your world. This probably wouldn't want your player to be here. You could make islands, you know, put an ocean in here. Start with your landscape brush. Hit your landscape actor here. Come in here with your brush and start sculpting. I would use a much larger brush, and you can start sculpting the terrain and doing whatever you need to do. Like I said, that's not this video. We're going to be focusing on the textures in a second. What I want to do now is, if I'm here and I run this, I need to see everything that I'm seeing right now. Nothing must fall away. Your load time is going to increase, yes, because it's loading up everything, but your rendering time shouldn't. So now my draw time is 4 milliseconds, so it's pretty high. But my FPS is still sitting at around about 119. You can see it's dropping to 119. So this is like almost probably on the border. It's not dropping to like 60 or whatever, so that's still a good thing. Now you could export this and test it. Let's do the materials, and you can see this is a massive terrain. If we jump on over to, this is why you're getting pretty good frame rates though, because of that tessellation. So if I switch over to wireframe, you can see that tessellation going to work here. You're getting closer, it's getting tessellated. So if it was to render this whole terrain at this fine at this level of granularity, your machine would come to a halt unless you're running, you know, the beast. Okay, let's do the textures. So let's take a quick break and then hop on over to the textures and the landscape material. I just want to do some revision first. We don't waste too much time, and then we'll do it.